Matt Mitchell, the Coldhearts. First, condolences, to you, and rest in peace, and sorry about your mom.
Thanks, Brian. I know we were scheduled to actually talk that day, and yeah, we've been really shocked and brokenhearted here, because it was a very short battle that she had, and yeah, just it was all a matter of weeks. So we're all very shocked, really, and brokenhearted. It's sad, very sad.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was one of a kind, but
yeah.
Yep.
It never goes away. I'm telling you now, never goes away.
I can believe that. I can totally believe that. And we're leaning on the spiritual side.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a religious man, but I'm definitely a spiritual one. So
cool. Okay, let's go back to Furyon.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that band, and also Color of Noise.
Yeah, Furyon. Furyon came out, was a band that came out of the ashes of an AOR melodic rock band called Pride.
Right.
Pride did a couple of albums, very melodic rock. It was with, I don't know if you remember AOI Heaven.
Yes, I do.
German.
Yes.
AOI Heaven, EMI Toshiba. And it was very, very melodic rock. And we got to a certain time, probably the year 2000, and when was it? It was a whole changeover, basically. And melodic rock really didn't sort of seem to be moving for us. And so we changed, and actually Furyon was actually what morphed out of that. So we tuned the guitars down and started, writing some slightly heavier tunes. And our first album came about. We actually recorded it with Rick Beato, who's now a YouTube sensation. He was first and foremost a musician come producer. And we heard of him because he produced bands like Shinedown, and we liked that sound and stuff at the time. And yeah, we actually hooked up with him via Kip Winger. Kip Winger actually hooked us up, which was cool because Rick and Kip are friends. And Rick was really interested in working with us. So we ended up going to Atlanta and recording with him at Stone Mountain there, and doing our first album, which is still now, is an album that really stands up. It was recorded in, say, 2007, 2008. We got a lot of love, actually, especially in the UK, from the likes of Classic Rock and Metal Hammer and stuff. Went on to do a second record with Rick again, and our guitarist at the time, my co-writer, he ended up moving to America, and of course it really altered the level of things and how things were working. So then we started going out and playing shows without him and having hired hands and stuff like that. It ended up becoming quite a difficult thing. And around 2015, 14, 15, about 2015, a friend of mine, Bruce Dickinson, who had a band called the Little Angels, who you might remember, you might not. They had a lot of success here in the UK and Europe. Yeah. Well, Bruce is a friend, and he said he wanted to do an album. It's time to do an album. So he said, do you want to co-write some tunes and sing on this record? Blah, 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 blah. So then Color of Noise happened. And at the same time, I kind of put a big stick in the side of the mountain and hung Furyon off of it,
Yeah.
And it's funny because at the time we'd just done this massive festival in Poland, and we were having a great time. But I thought, right, I can't really do two things. So then the Color of Noise thing kicked off, and we had a lot of fun doing that and became very busy went out touring with Thunder and the Dead Daisies, and played, you know, numerous amounts of festivals and stuff. It just got really busy, and then and Furyon actually I never managed to kind of like move Furyon on from that spot there.
Right. Yeah.
And then after Color of Noise became a one album band,
Right.
after that, and the dust had settled, I just kind of thought to myself, I want to do these solo records.
Right.
And yeah, that's how Matt Mitchell and the Coldhearts kind of came. So there you go. I've given you Fury and Color and Noise into
cool.
Yeah, that's how these Coldhearts records came out, really, because they're more of a solo efforts with with a collective of musos and friends. And
right. Yeah. Cool. Tell me about Mission, which came out in 2022. You had two releases, right? One independent and one on Earache.
Yeah, well, what it was the first record, the debut album, was, I put it out completely independent.
Right.
And I really liked that idea at the time as well. And of course, distributed through Cargo and here in the UK, and had some great radio and stuff like that. And then I was always in talks with Earache, the Earache guys, and they've been really, really helpful and really good. And I actually they asked me if I wanted to have one of the singles from the first record on one of their compilations, actually, which was called The New Wave of Rock and Roll. And I said, yeah, just, we'd do that for this, for this collaboration. And then, of course, we got into talks, we got into more talks. And I said, I want to do another record,
right.
Be it Mission, sent them the demos that I had, etc., etc. And then as we got into talks, we started talking about the idea of them helping me in a different way.
Right.
And it was just as they were starting their new digital distribution side as well. And actually, I liked the idea of this whole thing again. So what we did was, instead of signing like a record deal, I managed to just keep it as a distribution situation, and just keep everything under my roof, so to speak. And they really helped me out again. And then we launched Mission, which was great. That got into the official charts here in the UK, which was a nice point. Of course, I could, I was able to say, "Hey, Mum, I made it into the charts."
Yeah.
God rest her soul. And yeah, and it was all of that. So it was brilliant. And then as time's gone on, of course, it's trickled across the world.
Right.
But DEKO recently said, "Hey, let's actually do a proper release in North America, Canada for you."
Right. Yeah.
With the two records. So because I did Mission, and then I did an Ultimate Edition, basically, which is the album with a whole load of acoustic versions, etc. on, which is Mission, the Ultimate Edition. So then very recently, this year in April, both the debut and Mission Ultimate Edition has ventured across the water to you guys.
Cool.
Like properly. So that's great. Yeah.
Cool. So the first Mission, which was an independent, had 16 track and also came out on blue vinyl.
It did, yeah. It came out with a blue vinyl, and I think there's some of those around, maybe. I mean, I don't have any, but there's probably some around if people were to hunt them down.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, the vinyl was really cool. Just
Yeah.
a clear blue. Yeah, always great to be able to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice. But the Ultimate Edition was also like a really nice extra
Right.
thing. And again, Earache actually helped out with that, to be honest with you. I mean, so big up to Earache Records, really. I mean, they're actually doing a lot of things for a lot of people, a lot of artists out there. They're really helping a lot of artists out at the moment, which is lovely. And a lot of kind of roots artists, you know, and people starting out. Although I'm not really starting out, so to speak, but the Coldhearts albums are fairly new, you know.
Well, cool. Now with the Earache release, that was 19 tracks, and you charted number 19 in the UK.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. With the Mission Ultimate Edition ended up having, I do believe that had the 16 tracks on it. The original album just had the album tracks on.
Right. Cool.
And yeah, some good videos as well for that. Slightly different album to the debut.
Right. Yeah. Cool. I'll tell you right now, my favorite track was Unavailable.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I really like that song, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah, you know.
There's two versions of that actually. If you if you go on the digitals, there was another remix of Unavailable. It was a radio remix done by my friend and engineer Chris Daniels.
Cool.
So that's one to check out, because it was it was like a radio edit of Unavailable, which is ever so slightly, if you haven't heard that, go and listen to it after this, because you'll hear that there's quite a big difference in the whole arrangement and everything. So
I definitely will. Will. So how'd you hook up with DEKO?
DEKO came from a hookup from another friend, who a guy called Ivan Gunn. Who Ivan Gunn, we go way back, because he was part of Pride, the band that I told you about, going back 25 years. Wow. And yeah, and me and Ivan are still friends. Basically, me, Ivan, and Chris we were the writers of the Pride material. I was the singer. Ivan was actually the keys player, and Chris Green, the guitarist, was the guitarist. Yeah, it was me and Chris that ended up forming Furyon.
Right.
So yeah, and it's funny because all of these projects, if you go and listen to them back to back, they're all quite different from each other.
Cool.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, I think the thing that probably ties them together is this.
Your vocals.
Yeah.
Wow.
Probably. Yeah.
Cool. Are you working on new material now?
Yeah, been always doing that, really. Always working on new stuff and new ideas, and trying to think of a way of progressing, moving forward. Always a little tied to the past as well, as in, you know, you mentioned Fury and stuff like that. There's always talks about, wouldn't it be good to do another one of those albums, etc., and that kind of stuff. But I'm always writing my own stuff, which I now just call Matt Mitchell The Coldhearts material. Hence why I did the albums in the first place, because I wanted to just air that stuff. Although there's a couple of great co-writes on there as well. I'm always interested in co-writing. There's another real interesting story with DEKO, actually, that's a link up, which was, that I didn't even know about, which was with the artist Tiffany. As a long-standing friend of mine, Mark Alberici, who co-produced the Mission album with me and co-wrote a couple of the tunes with me. He plays guitar for Tiff, and it was just so interesting that when I said to him, "Hey, I'm doing this DEKO thing," he said, "Well, that's who we're with." I was like, "Really?" and it was something that we hadn't spoken about.
Wow.
Through our whole process. So that's actually a bit kind of spooky.
Yeah.
That one, because
cool.
I couldn't believe that. So that was really cool. So that's sort of, and that's also another good thing about DEKO, really, just to see that they're kind of quite across the board, and they're doing some great things as well. So I was really pleased to be involved with them as a company.
When you write a song, do you know right away, that's the song I really wanted? It's a hit?
For me, writing songs, yes. If I do that, like for instance, a song like Mission,
right,
or a song like Home, which is on the first album, I would put it in my I think in my mind I would definitely put it in my A list.
Right.
I normally have, if I'm when I'm writing a record, I will have like an ABC category. I might write a whole load of songs, and I'll put those ones will go into the A list. Those will go into the B list, and those will go into the C list. And I will definitely concentrate on the A's and maybe the B's to try and sort of, to try and get an album together. But it doesn't always work like that, though, does it? Because
never know.
If you played them to like you've just said, Brian, you've just said, oh, my favorite track is Unavailable, and it's wow, okay, that's great, because again, when that was written, I was trying to fill the album, and I wanted something, and I was really aware of the tempo, and I wanted something that was going to be bouncy, and so it was kind of written in. I knew what I wanted to put there, and I thought it was kind of, I was trying to be a bit clever, maybe. You should never do that with writing. But I was trying to be a bit clever, maybe. But I don't know, maybe it's worked, it's reached you,
Yeah. I liked it. I liked it a lot, and it was my favorite on the album. So,
it's cool. That one has a video to it as well. If you look at the YouTube channel, that's all the videos are there. Yeah.
Cool. The first time you had the solo album and stuff and got an actual vinyl, what was what were you thinking? Like, oh, I got a vinyl album now instead of like that little CD. I could get it autographed and yeah.
The vinyl is it was great. I was really pleased with that, because of course it is actually, although I think Color of Noise, we had some vinyl stuff and stuff like that. I mean, the Furyon stuff never came out on vinyl. That's this is vinyl's a big thing again now, isn't it? And it's great. It's awesome. So it's brilliant to have that, and I felt really excited about it and playing it. It sounds great. I mean, I still got I got many friends that aren't actually particularly vinyl lovers still.
Wow.
Slightly older friends, I think, that came out of the vinyl era, went into CDs, and then thought, why do I want to listen to vinyl? Again, after I can listen to music like this. But as we know, the whole love of listening to vinyl is to get those dynamics and to get that sound again. Instead of it being like just in your face and that compression. I mean, there's a lot they can do these days, but listening to the vinyl was great, because of course it's mastered in a different way, because it has to be. I was really pleased with that. And of course it's great, when people are buying the vinyls, and you can, because for one, you can sign them easier.
Definitely. A lot of bands are coming out with like multi-vinyl, but like limited them. Like Ace Frehley of Kiss, he put out like 10 different colors, but like this color would only get 50 copies. This one would only get 100 copies. I don't know if that's a little bit too much, or a marketing
Um,
thing or
yeah,
whatever?
maybe a bit of both. I mean, they all seem to be doing that a bit. Talking about Earache, they do a lot of that.
Right.
Um, Even with their, you know, with their new artists, they will always do a lot of that. There'll be a, yeah, like a few, maybe four different colors of
Yeah, yeah,
something,
yeah.
and then including the just the normal black vinyl,
Right.
um, and yeah, I think it's quite cool, really. I think it's quite cool. I mean, it sounds expensive.
It is.
You know, yeah, it sounds. I mean, you know, it sounds expensive on the front end. I know that much. You know, so
Right.
yeah, I don't know how that really works.
Right. Right.
Um, I mean, I'd be quite happy if a label
Yeah.
was putting my stuff out and doing that, but that's a different ball game, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're with a label and you're not you know, it's not under your own
Right.
roof, so to speak, like
Yeah.
how I've been doing mine. You know, it
Okay.
would actually almost seem very bizarre actually to actually sign something away now
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
where it wouldn't actually be anything
Yeah.
to do with me anymore.
Right. Yeah.
I think I would sort of have a real leaving the nest syndrome
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, but that's not saying that you know, that I wouldn't. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've
I know, DEKO, does a good marketing job of, merchandising.
yeah,
Like besides the CD, they do the album and then different things. I looked on their website and I see them like got whole bundles of different kind of merchandise just for, say, you. They just
yeah,
put stuff out, like
yeah,
whatever, bumper stickers or whatever,
yeah.
and that's pretty cool,
Yeah,
you
they're a
know?
great company. Yeah, they're doing some awesome stuff.
Right,
Um, yeah, and yeah, it's great to be part of. Like as I was saying, it's great to be part of that team again in a slightly different format.
right,
But you know, it's great that they're putting the Coldhearts music out there and being able to also put it onto the, you know, put the physical copies onto shelves. If people want to
right,
go
yeah,
into Walmart and buy it, you know, go. You know, that's
yeah, yeah,
great because
yeah,
um, because there's a lot of stuff that gets there's a lot of trade that happens that way.
right,
You know,
yeah, yeah,
as well as all the other, you know, formats
right.
of getting hold of your music. You know,
Cool.
um,
Yeah, if a new band came to you and, asked for, recommendations on, going into music, what would you tell them? Don't.
no, do you know what? No, I wouldn't. I mean, I am lucky enough to make my living doing music,
Right,
and I I mean, it hasn't been an easy road. It's still not an easy road, but
right,
I I'm out there playing every week and doing my thing, and I think it's wonderful.
right, yeah,
But what I would say is that you've always got to have a few other plans, and you've always got to be ready to um yeah, ready to take a few hits if you
yeah,
have to, or ready to just think, okay, I need to go and do this other job for now just to pay this so I can get this sorted out to go back to doing what I need to do.
right,
Um, and then sometimes, you know, just knowing when you need to stick at doing what you need to do and maybe tighten your belt and just go, crikey, I need to just carry on doing this.
right,
Sometimes you're not earning much money, you know, and then
right.
sometimes it starts to pay dividends. It's a labor of love for
Yeah,
certain.
yeah.
You know?
Wow. It takes a long time also to network, uh, all your music and stuff, besides Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all these
Yeah.
things. If you don't have somebody doing that for you, that takes hours.
Oh yeah. I mean, I only saw a post from someone earlier today talking about how, you know, to be an artist in this day and age, you know, you're not just an artist. You're not just writing and recording.
Right,
You're having to know about digital marketing. You're having to know about this. You're having to know about that. You're
right.
having to know about algorithms. You're having to
Yeah,
know about all these things that are just nothing to do with it,
Right.
really.
Yeah. Yeah.
But other people would say, well, no, it is to do, to be this in 2024, going into 2025. This is kind of the reality of it.
Right.
And unfortunately, I'll be the first one to say, I'm not that great at it. Some people are
Right.
so good at it. They're so good at putting that stuff together.
Right.
And I'm in awe of that, because I think to myself, wow, I wish I could,
Yeah.
I wish I could be as clued up. I mean, I do my best, and
Right.
I enjoy it. That's the other thing I would say as well. It's like, enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. It's like enjoy what you're doing, because of course this is the other thing with all the other stuff that can bog it down a little bit. You start to lose the enjoyment of it, and of course
Right. Yeah.
you have to enjoy what you're doing.
Right. Yeah.
One of the things I really love, actually, apart from I'm out playing live week in, week out, I love recording. I love being in the studio here with my engineer Chris, laying down vocals and stuff. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that, and I take all that process in. And that's what it should be. It is a labor of love, but it
Right.
should be really enjoyed, and that's why we do it in the first place, I think, and that's why young bands get into doing it. And I mean, there's some great artists out there now.
Right.
It's amazing. It's amazing to see. I still get excited when I see bands doing well.
Right. Yeah.
I it kind of spurs me on, in a
Right.
way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Definitely.
just think that's so cool. If they're like, I mean, if they're older bands or bands that have left and done a comeback, or if it's younger bands that are just all of a sudden they're just breaking out, and it's amazing.
Right.
Especially if the music is what you think is, wow, that's amazing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes that, it comes and goes, that, doesn't it? It's far and few
Yeah. Yeah.
between sometimes.
Right.
But I still get genuinely excited about it. It still makes me think, wow, yeah, it's cool.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
It's yeah.
Wow. Wow. So you have anything coming up you like to talk about?
What's coming up at the moment? I mean, as I said, I'm always out gigging. And that's not necessarily as an original artist. It's just as a performing artist, I'm always out playing.
Right.
And I'm lucky enough to sing for my supper, and do that. But I'm really at the moment concentrating on the next recording project, I think, which will be under Matt Mitchell The Coldhearts, but on how to do it, how to go around it.
Right.
I've just been asked to do a bunch of shows, which unfortunately I can't do because I'm already booked.
Right.
And actually that was going out just playing solo acoustic,
Right.
which I also love to do. And I was considering looking into that as
Right.
well.
Yeah. Wow.
And maybe a bit more of that.
Right.
For many reasons, because it's a great thing to do. And you can also, it's quite easy to just go, right, let's put it all together and go and do this and that and the other, because it's you.
Yeah.
You're not having to organize a family of, people and their families and all this other stuff that you have to consider when there's
Right.
5 of you,
Yeah.
So for now anyway, and then thinking about different recording projects and stuff like that into next year. So but at the moment, it's just and because of recent events, me and my crew are just real sort of concentrating on sort of mending in a way. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
You've caught me on a proper moment, as you know,
Right.
with we're all a bit brokenhearted at the moment, but yeah, with
Mhm.
them. Yeah, but there'll be new music along the way.
Good, good, good. Well, Matt, it was great talking to you, and I appreciate the chat. Would you like to say anything to the fans out there?
Keep listening. Check out the videos, and yeah, give us a post and let us know what you're liking, and yeah, I hope you enjoy the records.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Cheers, Brian.
Bye bye.
See you, man.